do think we're going to give things and the power of the office and how, you know, some people could surely easily.
You know, if you, the 5 delegate, and,
After 10 months in office and as First Lady of Alabama.
The only surprise that I can think of, Bob, is, well, I guess our anonymity is gone, and particularly Fob's. And I tease him. I say, well, buddy, you bought it. You know, don't complain. But I think I'm constantly surprised at people's reaction to a public servant. And I am constantly surprised at the authority of the office, the authority of the position that could easily be misused. I'm constantly surprised at the gifts that people, you know, they want to just shower you with gifts and with love. And when I say gifts, a man brought us a 26-pound catfish to the mansion one night. He just caught it, and this was a gift of love. And I am constantly overwhelmed by the goodness of the people of this state.
What kind of an effect has all of this had on your family and your home life?
Oh, it's just awful. You know, I'm a family person, and I just love my husband and my children, and nothing I like better than to get all my little chickens under my wings and have a big dinner and old-fashioned family life. And it really has just shot at something awful. And we have to just fight every day for just a few moments together. And, you know, if you just really didn't have your roots in something more important than yourselves, you couldn't take it. I couldn't take it. You know, if it is a sacrifice, that's the only real sacrifice. But the sacrifice of time is a very real sacrifice in our lives.
I know that you've written a book about your life with Fob James. Could you tell us a little about what's in the book?
Well, the book is a real expose of the present governor, and I'm not sure he's ever going to let me publish it because I tell what he's really like. And
What is he really like?
He's the cutest man that ever lived. He really is. Fob is hilariously funny. He's lighthearted. The man that you see is the man, and he constantly makes me laugh. You know, he is totally unpredictable. He's selfless, and he's pure in heart. And sometimes I don't want him to be quite so pure. I want him to go fight the enemy, and he won't do that. That's not his way. But he's a strong, silent, great man, and I'm very proud of him.
Fob James has always been a successful person. He's been a successful athlete, a successful businessman, and now he's been elected governor when very few people gave him a chance of being elected. Why is this? What makes Fob James a winner like he is?
That's a very good question, Bob. It's a question that sociologists would differ on. Some would say it was environment. Some would say it's genes. I would say it's a combination of the two. Fob had the sweetest daddy in the whole world. Fob James Sr. was a great man, most beloved man by people who knew him. He had a wonderful Christian home that he grew up in, a wonderful mother, wonderful family, solidarity, worked hard. He was taught values. He was taught Christian ethics. I would say if a boy ever, he had grandparents that loved him. If a boy ever grew up with the things that mattered, he did, and that gave him a sense of stability, I think. But I also think the other side of the coin is that Fob is who he is. And I would argue with the sociologists who say that environment is all of it. You know, I think we never quite know who a person is. And many people never find out who they are, and they never have the opportunity to develop into the people that they can be. Fob James is a man, he's not like anybody else I've ever known. He's his own person, but I think he's just a man of destiny. You know, I think there are some people that are simply called to be leaders, and I think he's one of them.
But how far will this leadership go? You know, we've heard a lot of people talking here lately. There have been a lot of rumors and innuendos that Governor James is possibly considering a presidential bid.
Well, of course, that's a bunch of malarkey. the idea that he's considering a presidential bid when he hadn't been governor a year is crazy. People have projected that image on him, which is what happens. You know, the people project you. But I think this shows that people see leadership, and they're projecting him in their minds. Now, how far it will go, I have no idea. I would say as far as his ability goes, probably, you know, he could be as good president as a lot of people. As far as ambition goes, I don't think he could give a flip about it. In fact, I don't know if he'd take the job if it were thrust upon him. Thirdly, I think as far as capacity and desire, he'd probably be very happy to go back to the business world. He loves business.
That's what I was about to ask. Where does he go from here?
I don't know. You know, we both sort of, you know, the Bible says live one day at a time, and that's a wonderful way to live because we really don't control tomorrow's circumstances. I think he'll have a lot of options when he goes out of office. And I really don't have any idea which way we'll go, but I bet you this, I bet it'll be an adventure.
You say that you were convinced that Fob James could become governor. Where did you get that feeling, and what brought it about in your mind?
Well, Bob, I knew the leadership abilities that he had. I always felt that Fob would end up being a public person. I didn't know in what arena. I thought he might have pitched a tent and preached the gospel, but I just knew that he had a destiny yet unfulfilled.
Was there any particular point along the campaign when you really felt confident? I know you say that you actually finished writing the book even before the general election.
I felt, you know, when the decision was made for him to run, I had prayed. And I had really prayed, you know, Lord, if this is not for us, block it. I don't want it. Right. And when I felt the Lord's peace, I knew it was right, and I never doubted.
Did you have any apprehension about Fob being governor?
No, I really didn't.
Because so many people think that politics is something less than what they'd like to get involved in.
I think that's one of the really great misconceptions, especially among Christians. You know, we've sort of let the world go to hell in a breadbasket, and we've let the evil forces come in to control our world. And you know, the Christians are supposed to be the salt, and we're supposed to be the leaven, and we're supposed to occupy the land for God. And when godly and decent people won't take their rightful places in politics, then what do we expect? We get what we deserve. You know, it was William Penn who said the best way to let a nation or a world go to pot is for good men to do nothing. And Fob felt that, you know, he had an obligation to society and to his community.
Let's talk about you now. What occupies your time as First Lady?
Most of my time is spent running the mansion, and that's a pretty good job. You know, you just don't realize how many groups in the state want to use the governor's mansion, want to have a tea, school children coming in. I had a group of 90 that came in Friday from Decatur, and since that was my hometown, I came down to give them a little special welcome. And one of the children, I was writing a Christmas story for a magazine at the time, and one of the little boys said, "Would you read the story to us?" And I said, "I will." So I went upstairs and got out of my typewriter, and I came back and sat on the steps, and I read my Christmas story to the children. And then I broke all the mansion rules. I took them through every room in the house. And if I'm here,
Well,
you know.
You can set the rules.
Yeah, that's right. But I do that, and then, of course, I run my own house up the street, and I go to Baylor to see my son play football every Friday night. And I tend to Patrick, and, you know, Patrick still needs some attention. He's 11 years old.
How is he adjusting?
He's the most adjustable young man. He's a very flexible, happy-go-lucky, blithe personality, and I thank the Lord for that because, you know, he likes people. And he keeps Fob and me straight, you know.
Well, after all, he is the presidential campaign.
That's right, I know it.
What's it been like for Patrick as the son of the governor and his grade in school and with with his age group?
Well, I talked with his teachers recently, and they said, you know, the kids are getting where they don't realize he's the governor's son anymore. He's just one of them, and that's a milestone when that happens. We have tried to play down the trappings of office as much as we can. I think it could ruin a child, you know, to grow up with troopers on every hand and very abnormal circumstances, and we particularly try not to do that.
Does he bring friends home to play at the mansion?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the kids come home with him, spend the night. He goes to their house and spends the night. And for the most part, he's a very normal young man, but there are opportunities and privileges that he has, like if we go somewhere, he goes with us, which means that he flies. Well, you know, how many kids get to fly on the state plane? So Saturday, we went up to the University of Alabama ball game, and he took a little friend, and their eyes were like saucers, you know. And so those are some of the remuneration or the benefits that he gets by simply having his father a governor.
Yeah, I can imagine it's a big time, but is he the type that really gets into being this type of person?
Oh, he has so much good judgment. I am so thankful for the wisdom that he has, and he keeps it in perspective, and he's sort of tongue-in-cheek about it, and he would much rather have his daddy be back at WSFA than be governor. I think all children would.
How do you explain the close relationship that Governor James has had with the people that he works with, like over at the plant in Opelika?
I don't know, Bob, but I think it's the real key to who Fob James is. Fob has always assumed the servant role. He took the low place. I don't know, I have never seen him go first in line. He is always at the end of a line. Now, I don't really know why, except that he had so much glory. You know, he's had so many honors. And I think his mother and his father just, you know, they taught him glory is fleeting and don't ever get hung up on these things and keep your feet on the ground. And I think he took those things to heart. And it's just not in him to exalt himself.
We were invited by the Lee High School DECA Club to talk with some of the students and their sponsor, Clayton Bush.
Distributive education is a program for students interested in marketing and distribution. These would be students interested in a career in the retailing industry. Juniors and seniors have an opportunity to attend school part of the day, and then they are placed on a job and they work the other part of the day. They receive school credit for in-classroom work, and they receive school credit for on the job. They have an opportunity to earn a living as well as earn an education at the same time. Many of our students throughout the state continue working with the businesses. Some of them operate their own businesses. Some of them end up in management. They are given an opportunity to experience the world of work. They learn things in the classroom that should be helpful to them in operating a business. In the Montgomery area, the business people work well with our DE coordinators and support our program. They learn in the classroom advertising, display, human relations, communications, merchandising, mathematics, management, product and service technology. They take the things that they learn in the classroom and should be applying those on the job, as well as their job experience, what they're taught by the employer.
What kind of reaction have you had from employers to this type of curriculum helping their DE students?
Good. We receive suggestions from our employers how to improve our program. Many times they call us looking for more students to place on their job, for part-time employees. the Montgomery area has been well receptive to our program. It has been in existence here in Montgomery since, I think, around 1954. But it has a good reputation. Each of the 4 high schools in Montgomery have excellent co-op programs.
What kind of jobs typically do students, are they placed in?
Any job that is retailing, the department stores, fast foods, clothing stores, shoe stores, food marketing stores, and grocery stores, service stations, warehouses, anything that deals with the marketing and distribution of a product or goods or services. Banks have been well received by our program.
The Lee High School DECA Club has won many honors over the years and proudly points to its award-winning scrapbook. Included in the pages are pictures, letters, and other references to the efforts the students made to publicize their efforts. The students say distributive education and their DECA Club have meant the difference between good job opportunities and perhaps not working at all.
D has taught me a lot that I didn't know about the business world and about free enterprise, which we're promoting an upcoming week here in November. And DECA has taught me teamwork and leadership.
It helped me in my job.
How has it helped you in your job?
Well, it teaches me certain things. I'm in finance and credit, and it teaches me about payables and receivables, and I learned more terms about my job. And DECA's a teamwork. When we went to state, we competed, and we learned more how to compete in our fields and stuff.
D has helped me get both my jobs, because if it wasn't for D, I wouldn't have a job at all. And on the job, it's helped me because it's taught me, like we were in here learning display, and every once in a while when I have nothing to do at the wards, I'll rearrange the display counters in the front. And a couple of people came by and told me, the manager told me it looked pretty good, and made you feel pretty good.
Mostly, our business is retail, and we have a retailing industry. And when I graduate from high school, I plan to go to college and major in retailing as a business administration and management. Mm-hmm. And what I've learned here has helped me a lot on my job because I've got several promotions.
Mm-hmm. And you think that DECA helped that and VE helped that?
Yes, a great deal.
Lehigh's DECA Club president is Thalia Parker. She works at a local clothing store. We followed her to work to find out what a typical day is like for a DECA student.
I come into the store and I sign in, and then usually we start cleaning up the store, and our job is to make sure the store is straight and everything's in size, and to wait on customers as they come in and help them as much as they need.
Now, what have you learned in class that helps you deal with these people?
Human relations and all about display and how to coordinate colors and things together by the color wheel, and really how to help the customer, that the customer is always right, and the steps to a sale.
Steps to a sale?
Yes, sir.
Now, what does that involve?
Well, you have to approach the customer, and then you determine their wants and needs. Then you overcome their objectives. You help them find what they need. You get them the right size. You sell them. Then you close the sale, and you finish the sale up with suggestive selling.
So, and at the same time, you have learned human relations, display, and then the financial end of it also.
Yes, sir. Just a little bit of everything in DE. All about marketing is what it is.
Thalia's only one of 200 Montgomery high schoolers who are getting a good academic background in the classroom and valuable work experience on the job. We join you in saluting the excellent job these business leaders of the future are doing in Montgomery and in Alabama, and ask your support in cooperating with the distributive education program in your community.
We visited the large animal operating room and watched 3 doctors performing surgery on a horse that had broken a small bone in the lower portion of its left front leg. The horse had been sedated and placed on a specially made hydraulically controlled operating table for the surgery. The 3-year-old mare was properly draped with sterilized material with only a small portion of the leg exposed. Dr. Cuthbert Padmore told us what happened next.
I would say about 10 years ago, removal of those were thought to be extinct. People weren't doing them. But today we can safely go into this area, remove the bone, curate it down properly so that it's properly smooth, and these horses will do extremely well. The problem we have with this, Bob, is that despite the fact that the bone is very small, if it heals like this, number one, it takes a very long time, a minimum of 6 months. Plus the fact that many times they heal with a very large callus, that's the bony formation, which will cause damage to the suspensory ligament in that area. As a result, these horses stay lame for a very long time, and some of them do not perform at their maximum. So today what we do is simply go in there and remove the bone, and these horses will do extremely well.
After the operation, the horse was removed from the table by tilting it and sliding the mare onto a waiting cart. She was then wheeled into a special recovery room. The walls of the room are padded with foam rubber, covered by a tough rubber coating. This is to prevent the animal from hurting itself if it reacts violently when coming out from under the anesthesia. If necessary, the horse can be suspended in a sling, which is connected to a 1-ton winch in the ceiling. We'll come back and check on the progress of the mare later in this report. Our next stop is in the swine research area of the school, where Dr. George Reese is helping to head a herd health management program. He says that the work they're doing is helping hog farmers produce healthier and larger herds.
We actually formulate programs for increased production for the farmers. I think the main thing here, of course, is simply that the farmers can increase his production by simply using preventive measures rather than the actual calling on a crisis.
Dr. Edward Bray works as head of the Tuskegee Institute Cooperative Extension Service, which helps coordinate efforts of farmers in a 12-county area.
We're dealing with swine programs. We have goat demonstration projects. Another innovative program that we are attempting to set up would be a program in which we have use of maybe certain purebred bulls. In many of these counties, the farmers do not have access to what we call excellent bloodlines, and so we develop programs where we may furnish these producers with some of these purebred bloodlines for use. We monitor the herds, we check them for health status, and we try to develop a system where they can improve their pastures and whatnot, and this we feel that is very beneficial to them.
Dr. Jody Blackwell, in his work, is helping cattlemen reduce animal loss by identifying certain types of diseases in cattle.
In beef cattle research, we have health programs, and our health programs are merely tools for establishing prevention and control measures, and by this we can reduce the death loss, the number of animals being sick, and then we will be in a position to early detect disease condition, and that's where we'll go along with our prevention programs of control of parasites and disease condition, particularly blackleg, malignant edema.
Not only does Tuskegee Institute work on campus, but its mobile laboratory goes directly to the farm. Dr. E.M. Jenkins, who's a professor of microbiology, heads the Swine Research Center. He and his lab technicians come to the aid of hog farmers by on-location identification of swine diseases.
We have been doing a survey in 15-county area of East Alabama for the past 3 years. We have visited more than 400 farms, consisting both of small, low-income farms and commercial farmers. What we are trying to do is to help these farmers with their problems dealing with disease and management as associated with swine production. What we do, we go to their farms, we take clinical specimens from their animals, then we bring them back into our laboratory, try to identify the swine pathogen, and then we get back to them and give them some suggestions as how they can improve their livestock program, as well as recommendations.
And in addition to the lab work and on-the-farm assistance, the students at Tuskegee are helped in their veterinary studies by a modern learning resource lab. They can come here and view videotapes, film, as well as audio tape and slide presentations on specific topics covered in their class work. Tuskegee Institute is doing its part to prepare future veterinarians who will be facing complex problems in the animal world.
And we're looking at this whole approach from the standpoint of preventive medicine. If we can make 1, 2, or 3 or 4 trips out to a ranch during a year and analyze their program, look at it from a problem-solving aspect, then we can do them some good, and we can teach problem-solving to our students. Because whether we're dealing with one animal or a whole herd, we're talking about problem-solving approach, establishment of the database, and then come up with problem list, and then the problem-oriented plan of approach. And with this, we can launch them on a continuing education that they can continue not only while they're going through the different years here at Tuskegee Institute, but after they finish, then they build upon what they have here in this problem-solving approach.
As we told you, we are checking back now on our patient from surgery and are pleased to see her up on her feet, but a little groggy. She was standing in the recovery room a little more than a half hour after she left the operating table. She's just another example of the good work and scientific research being carried on by the staff and faculty at Tuskegee Institute School of Veterinary Medicine. Freddie started his work with a car very similar to this one. His was a rusted-out, banged-up 1948 Chevrolet. He bought it for a couple of $100 on a used car lot and then started to work. He says he doesn't know just how many hours it took, but about 8 months later, it had undergone a Cinderella-like change.
I always liked it, old cars, and I kind of could vision in a sense that what it would look like, and I had at the time I was going to trade school, and I had a little help with it with my instructor Marshall Roberts out of Montgomery, and so I decided that I would go ahead and fix this one. I tore it down all the way to the frame, and it had 2 frames, one welded to the other one. It's a Camaro frame on the front, which gives me my power steering and a later model suspension. The rear end is Camaro rear end, and also the transmission, engine, late model 350, 400 transmission. Inside has a tip wheel, is power steering, automatic transmission, which is the console type in the flow, reclining seats, air conditioning, power steering. It had a CB, the AM FM stereo, with the it has the later model dash in it, which the speedometer showing 150, which it will probably just about do that, and with the shag type carpet in it. With the seats is out of a Granada Ford, which is the reclining type, and the console is out of a Pontiac, which is a little variety mixed up. It's a little bit of everything in it to kind of make it come out right. It used to have a ladder-like type grill, goes all the way across with 2 headlights, which you notice on this one we customized it with some mesh wire and made the grill, put in dual headlights, and also have the smaller fog-like type lights, which used to be an ornament up here. We customized it and made it more of a slick line type design. The engine has a regular 350 engine, have a lot of chrome doodads on it. You notice I had a master cylinder mounted to the firewall, like in any other regular model type car. The battery sits to the side, which you normally find. I had to have air conditioning, so my compressor and stuff is lined to the side there. on my bumper, it had a pan that run down between here, which didn't look too good, which wasn't the type of customized like one. I disposed of it and put the bumper closer into the back panel, which is my deck lid. Took off most of the ornaments type and just left the regular Chevrolet emblem on it. And come around with the wide chrome and all, and left. It had a piece of ornament down here. I took it off to get a little slicker look to my lights. And on my antennas, I start on the antennas, which is sunken antennas. I have two. One of it is for my CB, and the other one for my regular radio antenna, which I outlined it with a type of a teardrop in figuration or painted. My painting. The wheels on it are regular ET wheels. They're about an 8-inch wheel with a 10-inch tire on it.
Now that Freddie's completed his first dream car, he says there might be an obstacle in the way for number 2.
Yeah, if I came home and decided to build another one of these, my wife probably run me off.
Christmas is traditionally a season of happy bustle and gift-giving, especially gifts of toys for children. Unfortunately, some toys can cause painful injuries or even death to a child. According to the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, over 140,000 children are hospitalized each year for toy-related injuries. Falls from or against toys are a frequent type of accident, but children have also been cut, choked, shocked, and burned when playing with toys. Sharon Morris of the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission warns that while choosing a toy to suit the age of the child is important, a manufacturer's age guidelines may not be reliable.
Read the labels and be aware of what the manufacturers suggest. But in some cases I've seen toys labeled for an age group that I would not choose to buy that toy for. So the second consideration then, after you've read the label, is to use your common sense. And even though it may be recommended for a 3-year-old, do you think your 3-year-old could handle that particular toy? If there's any question in your mind, don't buy it. Select a second toy.
Aside from labeling and package instructions, are there any other sources of information for a parent in considering a toy?
Well, I guess the final consideration would be the overall ability of the child. Again, not only age, but what one 8-year-old is capable of doing, a second 8-year-old is not. The play habits of that individual child need to be taken into consideration.
Under the Consumer Product Safety Act, the Commission regulates certain toy features. Products which violate the standards are subject to recall. In recent weeks, 4 nationally distributed toys have been recalled by the manufacturers in voluntary cooperation with CPSC. The Soft Shot Star Launcher was recalled after several children choked on the removable mouthpiece. 4 million Giggle Stick toys were also recalled due to a potential choking hazard. The manufacturer recalled the toys before any deaths were reported. But the electrocution death of an 8-year-old girl led to the recall of this toy telephone. A redesigned plug eliminates the hazard in newer models. The most recent recall involves an infant mobile.
But 2 infants have died due to this toy because the cords got enwrapped around their necks and strangled them to death. Any toy that has cords on it should be avoided for infants.
Is there any way to make this toy safe?
Well, first of all, since it's a recalled toy, you can take it back to your point of purchase again and they will give you your money back. But if you want to keep the toy and you do have an infant in the house, we suggest that you cut these cords and then it becomes just a regular stuffed animal and it is fine.
What can a parent do once a toy becomes damaged or seems to present a danger?
Well, once you can buy the safest toy in the world, but once it has received some kind of damage, it's broken or it's rusty, a sharp edge is exposed, then it can become a very unsafe toy. So immediately repair it or dispose of it.
Consumers who want more information on toy safety can call the Commission toll-free at 1-800-638-8326. This is Karen Scott for Alabama Illustrated.
22-year-old Jay Kirkman is a one-man show presenting what could be tomorrow's technology today. It's called the GM Previews of Progress, a science show in layman's terms. Kirkman demonstrates the possibilities of producing new synthetics with the use of 3 chemicals: carbon and hydrogen in the bottle, sodium in the small container. Combined, they interact to form a new substance, synthetic rubber.
And whenever you're dealing with chemicals outside of the controlled conditions of a laboratory, you never know what might happen. You never know when you might have to kind of look out.
Another demonstration deals with air and friction. By creating a small layer of air between the floor and a platform, friction is virtually eliminated, and normally heavy objects move like feathers. One of the most highly visible displays is the gyroscope.
I just use this motor to achieve about around 2,000 RPMs with this wheel. All right. And then to demonstrate gyroscopic inertia, whoa, get my tie caught, man. You can't move the axis. It's very difficult to shift it out of one plane. It balances. And then to demonstrate precession, I would stand on this platform, which has a rotating disc. If I turn the axis to my left, it will turn me to the left. The microphone turns me to the right. It balances very easily, as you can see. Only because it is rotating and the axis will resist moving.
A scaled-down version of the gas turbine engine shows how little energy is needed to produce a large amount of thrust to power a set of wheels. This could someday be the means to power a car, bus, or van.
In your opinion, the future is bright?
Well, I guess I have to say that. I don't always feel very optimistic, but that's from reasons other than the energy crisis. I think in terms of technology, we're equal to the challenge.
The Previews of Progress is shown throughout the country at no charge. It's GM's public service project, costing the company roughly $300 per show. The cost is incidental to the firm because the automaker wants young people to know that there are plenty of new fields holding many future job openings. One of the largest and most in-demand occupations is computer technology. This vocal synthesizer may someday warn you that your engine's about to overheat or that you're running low on gas. Right now, this idea is just that, an idea. But Kirkman says it may not be long before the synthesizer and other technology become part of our everyday lives.
Cross 314 for Alabama illustrated. All cross 314 for Alabama illustrated. All cross 314 for Alabama illustrated.